Welcome back everyone. Thank you for joining me on this glorious day here in summer. Now, I've been out cruising around, taking it steady, just enjoying the countryside really, and I thought mountain biking can be a pretty expensive game sometime. So if I want to upgrade my bike, how can I do that without spending tons of cash? Well, fear not, because I have got some great budget ways that you can improve your mountain bike. One of the quickest and easiest upgrades for your bike is the grips. Now, as one of the main contact points and, arguably the one used the most, joint with pedals, I guess, grips are something that are really worth taking a look at. You really want to be looking at getting the most out of your grips, as they can play a huge part in the longevity of your ride. Now, what I mean by this is the fact that they can make things a whole lot more comfortable for you. They can reduce things like arm pump and blisters and calluses and discomfort when on those longer rides, so really worth looking at. Now, here at the channel we use ergon grips, who like to focus on performance and comfort above anything else. Now, like I said, finding the right grip is key for you. I've got quite big palms and I find that these lovely GE1 grips fit them nicely. They're the right diameter and the softness of the rubber is perfect for my hands. Plus the clamps are these wicked oil slick effect and I like that a lot. Doddy actually likes a thinner grip, so a different kind of riding for him and a different feel as well, as you can feel more through the bars and through the bike. So it really is personal preference. There is of course tons of different grips out there to choose from, so really take the time to look and test if you can and feel which ones are going to be the right ones for you. Let's talk saddles then. Now, this is another area that's going to be incredibly down to personal preference, mainly because you spend so much time sitting on your butt, you're gonna have to be comfy. Choosing the right saddle is really, really important. It can avoid a lot of discomfort, especially on those longer rides. Like grips, it's well worth taking the time to put into testing them if you can. A lot of local bike shops will have demo saddles that you'll be able to try. Now, again, on the channel, we have a great saddle supplier in the form of Ergon. And like I said, personal preference plays a huge part. On my XC bike here, I use the SM Pro Men's. I like the shape of it, I like the feel of it and the firmness. It just suits me and that's what I like to use. I use the same saddle on all my bikes actually. When choosing a saddle, make sure the shape of it is something that suits you and your sit bones. Because you're going to be sitting on it for such a long time, you need to have the right shape and where the pressure is going to be relieved. Often saddle companies will do a cheap and a more expensive version of the same saddle, where something like the rails may be different. So where there might be an all singing, all dancing carbon saddle, you could probably get, or usually get, the same saddle but for much less with aluminium rails. Some brands also out there like Ergon have certain sizing guides, so you can actually use this to help find the right saddle for you. They'll have like an online fitting system where you can look at your riding style, your riding position, and actually that will help you choose the saddle that you need. So don't delay, go and have a look for the right saddle today. Now, you might be fooled into thinking that it's just the pads on your brakes that wear down. Unfortunately, I hate to break it to you, but that's just not true. Discs get worn down as well. A good way of checking this is if the disc itself on the middle of the disc, so this area through here, is slightly concave, and that's where the force of the pads touch first and actually wear that disc away slightly. Don't fret though, fear not, because if they are starting to show signs of wear and tear, then it's time for an upgrade. And flashy new rotors can be a great improvement to your disc brake performance. If it is time for those rotor upgrades, then getting the right rotor is a good idea. So what I mean by that is choosing the right rotor for your bike. Now, my cross-country bike here has 160mm rotors front and back. That's to keep the weight down. It provides enough braking power for this light bike, and they don't get too hot, so I don't need vented brakes or anything fancy like that. If you've got a downhill bike, you might be looking at 200 or 203mm rotors. If you've got an enduro bike, a mixture of 180 and 200mm rotors. If you're feeling a bit wild and you're like a full-on downhiller or maybe a big e-bike, you can even get 223mm rotors, but those are a bit specialist. There's quite a lot of power going on there. But yeah, just check, make sure you get the right disc for your bike. Also, the quality of the rotor you get can change. Now, obviously this will vary in cost, so it's worth looking into, but Shimano's Ice-Tech rotor, for example, has a layer of aluminium sandwiched between 2 layers of steel, and this helps dissipate the heat better. So if you're doing a lot of longer, gnarlier rides, you live in the mountains, say, then something like this to stop brake fade could be worth thinking about. Now, not necessarily a performance upgrade for your bike, but it's definitely an upgrade that will make your riding experience easier. If you can fit more things onto your bike instead of onto your body, then you're free to ride more comfortably and with less restraint. This can include your multi-tool, pump, spare tube, and even a snack if you have the space. Things like the Topeak Ninja are great for this. You can have the combination of a bottle cage and a multi-tool all tidily tucked away down on your bike. Other things like the 1-Up EDC, which stash nicely in your steerer tube, are really elegant ways of hiding tools away. What's the cheapest way to improve your braking, I hear you ask? Well, look no further, because I have the answer for you. Ta-da! Yes, the humble brake pad. Now, a lot of times I hear and see people going around trails and trail centres squealing away, unable to stop properly, asking me like, what's the problem with their brakes? Well, 9 times out of 10, it's their brake pads. They're either far worn down, just absolutely almost to the metal, or they're the wrong pad for the wrong scenario, the wrong conditions. Now, when it comes to replacing brake pads, we often recommend that you stay on brand. Now, what I mean by that is if you've got, say, some SRAM guides or Shimano XTs, that you get the manufacturer pads. These are often designed to work best with the disc and the calipers. There are obviously, again, different versions. For example, here I've got some Shimano XT 4-pot pads, but you can get these with the fins on them. And what that is that helps keep them cooler, less brake fade, and more reliability over time. This isn't always, however, true, and brands like Trick Stuff make really great high quality aftermarket pads, which are very, very good. Tubeless valves are a truly budget upgrade. Nice tubeless valves can make some messy jobs a whole lot easier. They can give your bike that look of customization with different colours, and some even have built-in valve tools to help you out when it comes to putting in the tubeless sealant. This is definitely a cheap upgrade and not one to be overlooked. Let's talk tyres then. Now, there's almost always something to be gained from switching out to new tyres. Don't worry, they don't have to cost you the earth. Different, again, brands will do different versions of their tyre. So like the Vittoria Graphene one here, all singing, all dancing trail one, there are slightly cheaper versions. Now again, that can change whether you run tubes or tubeless, so there really is always a tyre to suit you. And make sure you choose the right tyre for the conditions you ride in. If you live in the middle of the Arizona desert, then a dry, fast rolling tyre is probably going to be the one for you. If, like us in the UK, you spend most of your time bog snorkeling and need something a bit more aggressive, then a slightly more knobblier tyre is probably going to be the one. We have done a really detailed video on which tyres work best in which conditions and which ones might suit you the most. If you want to check that out, the link is in the description. Just pop on down there, give it a click, and it'll take you through to it. Essentially though, an area like tyres is not something that's worth scrimping on. If you can afford a slightly better tyre, I would highly recommend it. As essentially it is the one thing that touches the ground, it's worth getting the best you can. Thank you for watching then, everyone. I hope I've been able to impart some not too expensive wisdom on you on how to upgrade that trusty steed of yours without costing the earth. Now, as always, if you want to watch more GMBN, don't forget, subscribe below. And if you want to look as bright and as fresh as this t-shirt is on me, then our new adventure range of t-shirts is also live on the website now. Just head on over to the shop and you'll be able to get one of these bad boys. Thanks for watching, everyone, and see you next time.